Hello, Internet. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. Had a happy Christmas. You're having almost a happy New Year. This is Scarlett. She wants to say hi. All right. Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing this evening? It's been a while because I'm super inconsistent with my live streams, and I apologize. I think I might have a bit of imposter syndrome, folks. I'm not a psychologist, but I feel like I have to get like every stream perfect, and I spend way too much time going down rabbit holes and getting in the weeds, and I just need to go live sometimes. So that's what I'm doing. I got my buddy Eric joining me probably around 6:30 in about 30 minutes, and we're going to talk about the H1B visa crap that's been going on, and I've been sort of sitting on this woke right episode because I didn't know how to approach it. And it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a few weeks now, ever since James Lindsay started jamming this term down everybody's throats. So the H-1B visa thing sort of goes hand in hand with it. And I want to, I want to get into it. So we'll check the chat. Jackie, nice to see you. All right, cool. If you guys are here, drop a comment in the chat, give the like button a tap. It's always helpful. I hope everybody's having a good evening, and we'll get right into it because I got a bunch of stuff I want to cover before Eric jumps on. Scarlett, go lay down. I got like a 10-minute video where James Lindsay tries to explain what the woke ride is, and he sort of dances around a bunch of things and doesn't really say the quiet part out loud, but I'm going to play it anyway. And yeah, we'll go from there. So let me go to this clip from James on the Trigonometry podcast with Konstantin Kisin, who's another one of the people that are trying to jam this woke right term down everybody's throat. So let's just get right into the clip because it's a longer one, and I want to try and get through that and then a bunch of different tweets that different people have put out explaining what the woke right is, and then we'll get into what I really think it is. So we'll go right to this clip right now. Oh, wrong one. All right. So this is James Lindsay talking on the Trigonometry podcast with Konstantin Kisin. I can't say his name right. And I should start off by saying that I've been a huge James Lindsay fan for years, since before COVID. I mean, I've listened to hours and hours and hours of his New Discourses podcast. I've learned a ton from him. And this whole woke right nonsense has just really rubbed me the wrong way ever since he started talking about it. And I find it disappointing, to be quite frank with you. And then same thing with Konstantin Kisin. I've been a huge fan of his for a long time. And yeah, I've been disagreeing with him a lot lately. So we'll get right into the clip. We'll just go right to it.
And James, you mentioned the term woke right. It's a term you and I have both used, but it'd be interesting to talk about it for a number of reasons. But first of all, what do you mean by that term? Because a lot of people are very confused about it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best term. It's more accurate I don't use the word woke too, I use it a little too casually still, generally speaking, but I've tried to be very specific when it comes to it, to use the phrase woke Marxism, as in that it's a species of Marxist thought, yada, yada, yada. So we can very easily place that on the Marxist left, right? Well, woke right, another term that might work for that is woke fascism. And just like woke Marxism is technically woke neo-Marxism, this could be called woke neo-fascism. The more syllables.
So right off the bat, the first thing I think of when I think woke is I think of cancel culture. People that don't like your opinions, so they try to get you fired, they try to get you canceled, all that kind of stuff. And, well, we'll continue.
Woke.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to. So there are kind of two ways to look at why it's woke. And one is kind of philosophical and one is practical. The practical side is look at how they behave. They behave exactly like the woke. There's the targeted influence campaigns. There's the manufacturing of what the postmodernists called legitimation by parology or whatever. They create the illusion that there's massive support for this and massive distaste for that, using social media manipulations like we just talked about. They are highly invested in identity politics. The answer for them to leftist identity politics is a reaction identity politics or reactionary identity politics, equal and opposite, or in biblical terms, answering evil with evil, which the Bible says not to do, by the way, very specifically. And so there's this, grievance identity. Everything's bad for white Christian men, straight white Christian men. We're the oppressed minority under this. There's an ideology, and this kind of bleeds into.
So this is the first thing that I take major issue with. James seems to be conflating this whole woe is me, I should get an advantage thing with white Christian males, when white Christian males have a legitimate grievance when they say that they've been discriminated against in education, in hiring practices. The whole DEI thing is inherently discriminatory towards white Christian males. When you prioritize females over males, when you prioritize skin color that isn't white over the white skin color, when being a Christian is a negative check in the checkbox, and add conservative on top of that, you've been inherently discriminated against. And James seems to be presenting it as we feel that we should be getting some sort of special treatment. And that's not it at all. This is a level playing field thing. We don't think this is, to me, it's a meritocracy argument. Just the best person for the job, whatever your skin color, race, gender, sexual orientation, political affiliation, religious affiliation, the best person for the job should get the job. The best person on the application for colleges should get accepted. There shouldn't, this couples with, what is it in colleges? The old term where, affirmative action. So DEI coupled with affirmative action is inherently discriminatory towards white, Christian, straight, conservative males. And James seems to be shoving that to the side, saying that either we don't have a grievance or we're asking for some sort of special treatment, when it's the exact opposite from that. We're talking about a return to meritocracy. So I'll let him continue.
To the philosophical idea, but we'll get more specific with that in a second. There's this kind of belief that there's this ruling class that's erected an ideology to marginalize people like them that sounds very much like woke, except instead of saying that it's like the white people the white ruling class created white supremacy to marginalize people of color, especially black and indigenous, and their ways of knowing from getting inside. The woke right, or the woke fascist side, says instead that following World War II, on the back of Hitler and the idea of never again, there was erected a post-war liberal consensus. Starting in the 1940s, immediately, starting in 1945, the creation of the United Nations was part of this. The signing on to the United Nations was part of this. They assigned Bill Buckley, to having done a route to drive the true conservatives to the margins, so that a false post-war liberal consensus conservative movement could rise up, the neocons, and hold them out. So the neocons become this kind of hegemonic force within the conservative faction that edges out so-called true conservatism and these more dangerous, so to speak, ideas like fascist ideas, like Carl Schmitt's ideas about unbound executives and friend-enemy politics and so on, that these ideas all had to be pushed to the side on the pretext that World War II or a Adolf Hitler can never rise again. And so therefore, the true conservatives who represented conservative politics and kept at bay the beast of the left, which they say is that the right's true function is to keep at bay the left. In other words, to have a war, right versus left, with everybody in the middle, I guess, taking fire in the crossfire. But they believe that this post-war liberal consensus and the neoconservative movement literally was designed to marginalize their perspectives and to keep these other more radical right-wing ideas out of play. So this is a very woke way of thinking about the world, that there was a structure.
So he outlines all these different bullet points and assigns like an entire philosophy to a group of people that aren't even really affiliated. Again, people that say, hiring practices shouldn't be based on race, religion, sexual orientation, gender, any of that stuff. And all of the people that he points his finger at and says, you're woke right and you're woke right, he's assigning this sort of weird philosophy to. And this, to me, this sounds like a bunch of mucky gobbledygook. It's you're not describing anything that you can assign to a group of people and then slap the woke right label on them to discredit them. It's, to me, this in itself is woke. You're saying, oh, you're woke right, you're out of the club. Like, that to me is woke.
Construction of the social and political and cultural environment designed to exclude people like them in order to be able to achieve certain political agendas. And now they believe that they've woken up to these ideas. Woke. Mm-hmm. They've found them again. They've read the forbidden philosophers, Carl Schmitt, Julius Evola, James Burnham, and so on.
I haven't read any of those people. I don't even know who they are. Again, assigning this philosophy to a bunch of people that seem to be noticing certain things.
Read these things, and they're bringing back a true conservatism that was excluded from politics roughly since the end of World War II on the bogus pretense of preventing the rise of another fascist like Hitler or Franco or Pinochet. And so there's a very practical explanation for why they're woke, but especially their behavior. Lots of lying, lots of character attacks, lots of saying no enemies to the right, but they don't actually even attack the left that's their enemy, so to speak, at all. They only attack other conservatives, lots of power plays, lots of manipulative, speech. And then there's the philosophical, deeper aspect. Why woke? What does woke mean? Woke up to a structural politics that marginalizes people like me. And we need...
You mean DEI? Diversity, equity, and inclusion that prioritizes people of a certain race, gender, or sexual orientation? Pointing that out is woke? Pointing out the woke is woke? Okay, James.
Need to band together in solidarity, no enemies to the right, in order to be able to create a powerful enough oppressed coalition to flip over the power structure by putting ourselves at the center and claiming power for ourselves. This is explicitly woke, having a critical consciousness about the way the world is organized. Tucker Carlson, for example, if you listen to Tucker, a lot of people really like Tucker. Tucker is pretty critical of America. He's not doing a Howard Zinn critical America theory. Howard Zinn being the one who wrote.
Yeah, Tucker's critical of America, like how we fund all of these foreign wars. And our government seems to be run by people that are either bribed or blackmailed. Yeah, it's good to be critical of America, especially American government.
But the people's history, so the Marxist history of the United States, propaganda, he's writing a different critical history of the United States. Well, the Constitution was, not really adequate to prevent all of this. There is a post-World War II liberal consensus or world order that we're all being made subject to. Well, look at how America was involved in all of these things. America bad, America bad, America bad. Also, the UK was pretty bad too, and America bad, America bad. There's this kind of constant critical negativity. You see some of these characters, I mentioned Tucker Carlson, but you see some of these characters like Stephen Wolfe, who wrote the book, The Case for Christian Nationalism, has put multiple times on social media, and I don't know what he said in public talks. I've only heard one of his public talks, but you see him on social media saying more than once that he has adopted critical theory specifically for his own purposes and to his own ends. He was recently saying on social media, somebody sent it to me, so I have to, I guess, confirm this, but he was saying that, in fact, the critical theory he uses is not the perverted version of critical theory that the left has used. It's its own more correct version of critique that goes back before the left, yada, yada. And so how do you not call the attempt to awaken a critical consciousness of the power structure that you believe has delegitimized your movement? How do you not call that woke, when woke means having awoken to a critical consciousness that there's a structural force that has delegitimized people in your political positionality? It's the exact same thing, unfortunately. It's just pushing a people in place kind of driven fascism, as opposed to a we're going to end all oppression by becoming the oppressors communism.
It's very well explained, and that's kind of why I have been calling.
It's not very well explained. This is a bunch of word salad and assigning philosophical ideas to people that don't have those philosophical ideas. Tucker, the Constitution says the Constitution wasn't really adequate for keeping certain things at bay. Well, they're trying to go after speech. They're trying to go after guns. I mean, yeah, the Constitution, as beautiful of a thing that it is, it didn't stop people from doing fascist things and trampling all over the amendments. Being critical of that is critical race theory. Like, what are you trying to say, James?
Even though I'm not sure it is the best term, but the behavior is the same, right? It's quite obviously the same. Victimhood, cancel culture, lying about history, all of this.
Rewriting.
Victimhood and cancel culture. Okay. I won't bury the lead. James seems to be assigning the woke right stamp to anybody that is critical of Israel and critical of the United States funding Israel's war. Now, what happens if you're critical of Israel? Anybody. What happened to Kanye? What happened to Candace Owens? What happened to so many other people that started criticizing what Israel is doing, especially since October 7th? Jonathan Greenblatt with the ADL. They go after you. They try to get you canceled. They try to censor you. They try to go after your job if you are, outspoken enough about certain things. If you talk to somebody about the USS Liberty, like Candace Owens just came under a ton of fire because she had Phil Turney on, a survivor from the USS Liberty. And, well, anybody that's critical of Israel gets canceled. And now you're saying the people that are critical of Israel, how are they trying to cancel anything? They're pointing out certain things that are based in fact. And if you talk about them, you get canceled. So who's really woke here?
History, lying about people, digging up people's past to cancel them. It's unbelievable.
The one complaint that people have made about that I do think is valid is that they're not comparable in terms of influence and power. The woke left control for a period of time controlled what felt like everything. The woke right isn't anywhere near that level of influence at all. And frankly, I wonder whether, having talked about it as much as you and I have, we've maybe drawn too much attention to a very small fringe. Because when we went to the Trump rally, I didn't see it. I talked to a lot of people there. I listened to all the people on stage. I didn't hear in either the statements or the response to what people were saying, the type of conversation that you see online. So it seems to me like it's a tiny fringe that's being amplified by bot farms and foreign meddling and whatever. I think increasingly, I don't think of it as real, even though, as you say, there are one or two people who are very influential in American politics who.
One or two people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Okay. Well, what have they been critiquing lately?
Who have flirted with some of these ideas.
Yeah. That's a real thing.
So go ahead and watch that full episode if you like. But to me, this is word salad to dress up something that doesn't exist and assign it to certain people that are saying certain things and critiquing certain things. Now, we'll go to this next video. I don't know if we'll have time to cover all of this before Eric jumps in here, but I'd like to. Jackie Woke, the uncritical attribution of racial or minority-directed malintent to any type of disparity in American society, culture, and its structures. This definition is a result of lived experience or people who do not subscribe to the basic tenets of CRT. Systemic racist society. All systems are set up by white supremacy and designed to oppress people of color. and that all of American society can be judged through this racial lens because it is in fact the truth, while woke may have, or, all right. I think you got cut off there. Okay, I think that's people trying to evolve the word woke. Yeah, that's exactly it. Friend Club Vice President, good evening. Nice to see you. It's a system of checks and balances. They say we are the last check, the last balancing factor. Okay. All right. Well, I want to jump over to this other video here. Hopefully I won't lose audio like it always does. Let's see. So I want to get to, yep, it sure did. I want to get to a bunch of examples. So he tries to like clearly lay out what woke is, or what the woke right is, using a bunch of word salad, and he sort of danced around the issue to me of what he's really talking about. So I'm going to go to a video that, if this was what he's calling woke right, I would agree with him, but I don't think that's the case. So James Lindsay shared this, and he says, an incredibly instructive video on the political landscape, very clarifying with a concrete example of the second half. Okay, let's try to watch this without interrupting it.
Imagine that you've got the political spectrum on a string, left and right. You take the string with your hand and you pull it up so that the ends of the string come down in a circle, almost touching at the bottom. And this is the horseshoe idea. And then you draw an imaginary line through the middle of the horseshoe. Okay, so now your left and right are now near the bottom of the circle or horseshoe, and they're close together because they belong close together, because their fundamental sort of systemic or structural ideas are similar, in the sense that they both believe in the group. They believe in governing for group dynamics, group values. They want to supervise people so that they adhere to a certain set of ideas and values. Those values are not the same at all. I mean, they fight about that, but the idea of the group they have in common.
And even though we're on the opposite side, those Frankfurt School guys and the Marxists and so on, they actually recognize this themselves. If you read people like Eric Fromm, he also recognizes, the same as many of us would do, that, okay, there have been technological advances and so on and so forth.
All right, so I'm not going to play this whole thing because I got only a bit of time, and I got a bunch of stuff I want to cover before Eric jumps in here. But to me, what this whole thing is describing is authoritarianism. Authoritarianism on the right and authoritarianism on the left, and how it ultimately comes back down, and they're almost the same in terms of they want to silence speech, they want to drive what they consider right down everybody's throat and use the power of the state to do it. And yeah, I agree. They are, the far right and the far left authoritarians are very similar in that regard, but that's not what we're talking about here. How is Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens an authoritarian? They're both free market people. They're both meritocracy people. They're not trying to silence anybody. They're not trying to cancel anyone. So what are we really talking about here? So let's jump to some posts that some of the people that he's gone after. So, here's him going after Tucker Carlson. He had, what's his name? Daryl Cooper from the Martyr Made podcast on there. He had him on there, and he says, jihadist doesn't just mean Muslim I don't like. Hezbollah is a local resistance movement. So Hezbollah, aren't they Iran? Is it Iran, or is it Yemen, or is it both? Hezbollah. And I mean, we think of Hezbollah and we think terrorists, right? Well, if that's I think the point he's trying to make is that Hezbollah, call it whatever you want, they're the resistance force for their country. And he's saying that not all of them are jihadists. So James calls him woke right for saying this. And, I'm not going to put words in Daryl Cooper's mouth, but I'd like to hear him expand on that a little bit. So here's Dave Smith. So James says, So he even went after Dave Smith, calling him woke right. So he says he rants about Jews on a site that doesn't permit ranting about Jews. We don't live in should land. We live in hell. And yes, I know he's Jewish. And he puts Jew-ish, and he assigns that to Dave Smith. I mean, so Dave Smith responds with, honestly, how pathetic is this guy? I rant about Jews, really? And of course, I'm only Jew-ish now. How is this not identical to the woke progressive argumentation? He might as well call me the black face of white supremacy. Right. So he's saying, since Dave's a Jew and he's critical of Israel, that he's only Jew-ish. Like, you have to, there's lots of Jews that are critical of what Israel's doing. And this is who, when James talks about the woke right, he seems to be going strictly against people that are critical of Israel. That seems to be the case. So we'll go to Cernovich here. Cernovich says, so James wrote this piece. James Lindsay became famous, I guess. He got put on the map when he wrote all these fake articles and got them published, like rape culture in dog parks. And he took parts of, I don't know if he did the whole book or he took parts of Mein Kampf and changed the words around. So it was about feminism, and he got these articles published, and that's sort of what put him on the map. And he tried to do the same thing with the woke rights stuff, and he got something published. So Cernovich says, even worse, James isn't being honest. He rewrote the passages in red lines, and the red lines demonstrate. I don't have time to get into the whole thing. When confronted with this evidence, he retreated to a new claim, namely that the methods are the same. Maybe, but that's not what his initial headline was. Totally dishonest. Okay, so who else is he going after? Here he is with Tim Pool, and Tim Pool just says effing cringe. I mean, I don't think he's called Tim Pool woke right, but Tim Pool is coming out all the time and saying like woke right isn't a thing, and it's not a thing. So this is yeah. He just said Tim is lost. So Konstantin Kisin, we'll go to him really quick. Eric should be on here in a couple of minutes, so I'll try to go through this really quick. Konstantin Kisin says, I'm glad we started the conversation about the woke right. It's not a term I've ever been particularly attached to. As I've said before, the barbarian right, the Nietzschean right, the dissident right, etc., are all useful for highlighting the different aspects of the same thing and maybe more useful. In fact, given how many people are upset by it, I hereby withdraw the term woke right. On one condition, you prove a better term to describe the fringe of the right, which replicates every key aspect of wokeness. He gives a bunch of bullet points here. So he says, thinking the West is bad and siding with its enemies. See, like that right there is just such a muddy statement. So like thinking the West is bad. I mean, are we not allowed to criticize anything that's going on in the West? And siding with its enemies. Like, what do you mean there? Siding with its enemy? Are you saying Muslims? Like, are you siding with Muslims or pointing out that we've been waging war in the Middle East for the last 30 years and there's going to be blowback from it? Is that siding with the enemies? Is that saying the West is bad? I mean, yeah, what the West is doing is bad. What the West is doing in the Middle East and has been doing in the Middle East is bad. It's okay to criticize that. You're not siding with Muslims. I'm definitely not a fan of terrorists or people that want to implement Sharia law at all. But I will recognize the fact that if you blow up people's kids for decades at a time, you're going to get some radicalization and there's going to be some blowback from it. So he continues playing identity politics with the basis that their group is oppressed by a secret invisible force controlled by another group/groups. Okay, and I think you can see what he's alluding to there, is pointing out that AIPAC, I mean, if you listen to Thomas Massey's interview with Tucker Carlson, when he points about how every congressman and every senator has an AIPAC guy. AIPAC funds both sides. They put tons of money behind the candidates that they think are going to be the most pro-Israel. Okay? I mean, That's a heavy level of influence that AIPAC directly has over our government. Is pointing that out, saying that there's an invisible group oppressing. It's like, no, we don't want foreign money meddling in our politics. They're trying to woke right is they should just say anti-Semitic. They're trying to have a new term for anti-Semitic because they know that term has lost its meaning, much like the word racist. That's what they're trying to do here with the term woke right. They're trying to rebrand anti-Semitic, and they're trying to use this woke right label to discredit and shut a bunch of people up and get them censored. And to me, that whole thing is woke. What they're doing is the actual woke part about this whole thing. Having an obsession with a group-based victimhood and grievance. So pointing out DEI, pointing out how DEI is inherently discriminatory towards a certain group of people. Okay, I guess that's woke, pointing that out. Seeking to revise and pervert history to fit its ideological narrative. What history are they trying to pervert? Like, could you clarify that? Reacting to disagreement with name calling, ostracism, and bullying. Okay, yeah, I'm not down with that. Just name calling, ostracizing, and bull. So name calling, like calling people the woke right, and bullying them into being quiet, and ostracizing them from the Republican Party. This is the ultimate projection. Everything that they're saying this group of people is doing is they are actively doing it, and it's hilarious. Reacting to disagreement with name. Okay, I just read that. Creating a culture of fear among the center, leaning people on their side to prevent criticism. You should see how many people message me privately to say they agree about the woke right, but they don't want to say anything. Okay, but what do they agree with? Looking forward to all your suggestions. Okay, so that's Konstantin Kisin sort of elaborating on the whole thing. And here's a meme. James Lindsay says the woke right, and he's holding the ring of power. It's Boromir from, I'm a nerd. Boromir from the Lord of the Rings, holding the ring of power, saying tyrannical power, like I can wield it. What tyrannical power are Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens trying to achieve? Okay, it's just a meme, so I'm not going to get too worked up in that one. So this is a guy that says, he says, Candace, this is James Lindsay. This is him. This guy is responding to Candace Owens as he's bought into the whole woke right thing. So he says, Candace brings up the past to cast Jews, Zionists, and Israelis in a negative light, like the woke bring up slavery to cast whites in a negative light. So he's responding to Candace Owens bringing on Phil Turney, a survivor from the USS Liberty. I don't have time to go into the USS Liberty right now, but talking about something that happened in history in 1967 that all evidence points towards a deliberate attack on that ship by Israel, and they knew it was an American ship, to sink the ship, kill everybody on board in order to drag America into a war with Egypt. That is the premise of the argument. And they say that's anti-Semitic to say. There's no way that Israel knew, even though there's audio of IDF soldiers saying, yeah, we knew it was an American ship. There's irrefutable evidence that it was obviously an American ship. And then, so I can't get too much into you watch my episode. It's my pinned tweet of, I interviewed the same gentleman, Phil Turney. He's an awesome guy. And you can watch my entire episode on the USS Liberty if you want to. But that's him saying, don't bring up the past. Basically, don't talk about the past because it casts Jews, Zionists, and Israelis in a negative light. No, it's pointing out that Israel seems to want to drag. It's an example of Israel trying to drag us into a war with one of their enemies. And hey, go figure. All the countries in the Middle East where we've had regime changes, we've waged war on all these different countries. Who is their most common enemy? Seems like we're taking out all of the regimes that are the biggest threat to Israel. So it's America. I'll continue. James Lindsay says, Tucker Carlson and friends are just asking questions and just having conversations, like how woke teachers are asking about how many sex partners fifth graders have had. So he's equating having discussions about things Israel is doing with woke teachers having sex conversations with your kids. So this is the sort of word salad gobbledygook that he's talking about. So I gotta that's about it. I got Eric to bring in here, and we have a bunch of this H-1B visa crap that ties in a lot with James Lindsay and the woke right stuff. So I'll stop sharing this, and I'll bring Eric in here. Probably I don't know how much he's been listening, but if you guys don't already follow Eric Abenante on Twitter, you should. And
hey, good to see you, buddy.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, oh, sorry. I have my screen over here. I can move you down here if it looks weird if I'm looking over here the whole time.
No, that's all good. It's all good.
Okay. But yeah, no, good to see you. I caught you talking about Jews as soon as I was in. I knew it. You sneaky. You can't get by me. I caught you again.
Well, I was hoping you would be listening to the whole thing, because James Lindsay and the whole woke right thing.
I actually would love this to be explained for me, because I still have issues with what is woke right and the definition of it, because it seems like a vacuous kind of term. I'm not sure what it means.
So neither do I. And I don't think James Lindsay does either. And my whole point of all of this, so he's calling all the people that have issues with the H-1B visa thing woke right. And all of the people he was on the so Konstantin Kisin with the Trigonometry podcast. He's also a purveyor of the woke right slanderous term. And I just played a clip. It's like a 10-minute clip. I'm not going to play it again. But James Lindsay tries to ascribe a bunch of different woke bullet points to people on the right. But what ultimately happens, all of the people that he accuses of being woke right only have one thing in common, and it's that they're critical of Israel. And now with this H-1B visa thing, if you have an issue with it, you're racist. And so he's assigning that to the woke right as well. So that's sort of why I was doing a lead in with it. I mean, James Lindsay has been talking about this woke right things for months now, and he goes on endless tangents. He does these threads trying to explain what it is. And all it is a bunch of freaking narcissistic word salad trying to, I don't know, assign. I just said what I think it is. It's rebranding anti-Semitism is what he's trying to do.
This is why I never, I defend Israel, but I never get mad at the people who are attacking it from an isolationist position. And that position is usually, why are we prioritizing another country over our country? That is a great place to talk about the Israel discussion, because it can be bipartisan and both sides can relate to it. Whereas when they venture into other things, that's when I defend it. But when you're talking about like the dual citizenship stuff and the prioritization of like immigrants or any other country over our country, I don't see how people wouldn't resonate with that. And so to call it racist, to call it racist is like that's a cop out for not being able to defend your position clearly.
Well, that's to me, anti-Semitic is like the same thing as it's basically saying what you're racist towards Jews, right?
Yeah, no, and that's why again when people are commenting on Israel from that isolationist position, I would never think that they were anti-Semitic, because even as a Jew, many Jews have that position. It's the other stuff. It's like the overstepping the language stuff. That's where I have a little bit of an issue with it. But when Jewish culture is so litigious and has gone after so many people, I understand why there's like a major sensitivity towards it. And I tell my people that, hey, it's that, and like calling ourselves the chosen people for 2,000 years, maybe that would build up some resentment. instead, and let's do things that would bridge the gap instead. We're not very good at that as a people, I've noticed.
So, and that's one of the things that James Lindsay talks about is the woke right try to cancel people. And it's like, wait a minute. You're going after people that are critical of Israel with this woke right term when people, if you're too critical of certain things within Israel, you get canceled like Candace Owens did. And
well,
like,
and
what's
so
really woke?
Yeah, and this is why, like, back even in the Hitler days, they didn't make fun of Hitler by just calling him anti-Semitic. They used sense of humor, and I feel like we've kind of lost that, and so people are so uptight they just go to anti-Semitic instead of actually addressing the issues. And there's a lot of real issues at hand, but they don't want to talk about those, and so it gets like emotional, and people just kind of, instead of listening, they just divert into their normal position. They aren't really having a conversation.
Yeah, that's why I like talking to you about this.
Yeah, and you're anti-Semitic, by the way.
You're gonna say that.
So it's like I'm already tarnishing my reputation by talking to you.
It's all good.
I don't have a reputation, but if I did, I would be tarnishing it.
What do you mean you don't have a reputation?
I'm just being self-deprecative here. Okay.
I'm gonna throw you up on my other screen so it doesn't look like I'm looking down the whole time.
Throw me up. Yeah.
All right. So.
And I guess on this discussion, so I have a Jen Rubin clip that's going nuts. She's a Washington Post columnist, and almost all the comments are like, this Jew, she looks Jewish. Ugly Jew. And again, so the point I made on my stream was like, look, I don't like that behavior, but when all her talk is about, I hate white people, Christians are bad, it's like, I can't really defend her. Like if she was like a reasonable Jew, I'd be like, you guys are disgusting. But when she does that, it's like, well, this is kind of what you get. Is turnabout is fair play. You do this to white people. So it was funny because there was even one comment, because like they say she's so unattractive that she could be a man, right? As the joke. And so there's a lot of there was one that was like, God, that's an ugly Jew. And I thought they were talking, that's an ugly Jewish guy. And I thought they were talking about me, because it's like, I'm just seeing it in my feed. I'm not like seeing where it's coming from or like what it's to.
You're a handsome Jew, Eric.
Oh, thank you so much. That's why I came on here. Appreciate it. I'm in my,
homo.
For those who haven't watched my stream, I'm in my garage. And so I have a hoodie on. That's why I'm not formally dressed. I love your background. It's actually really it's really nice.
Festive?
Yeah.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah. Jews love Christmas, by the way. I once saw a debunking of the Holocaust, and one of them was like Anne Frank mentioned Christmas, therefore Anne Frank and Jews don't love Christmas. Why would she mention Christmas? This is clearly a fake book. And I'm not saying if the book is fake or not. I'm just saying that's not a very good example because like Jews love Christmas. So
my neighbors across the street are Jews, and they said Merry Christmas back to me. Like I just said Merry Christmas without even thinking about it, and they're like, Merry Christmas. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are Jewish.
Merry Christmas, because it's like, it's kind of injecting us like everyone is really celebrating Merry Christmas, and then to inject the holidays is like the holidays portion, that's like self-serving. Like that's like 2% of the people. It's like when everyone is going to see Van Halen and it's like, yeah, but what about the opener? No one's here for the opener. Sorry, we're here to see Van Halen. And that, and I know everyone compares Christmas to Van Halen, but
Happy Holidays is appropriate after Christmas, but before New Year's, because it's like Christmas is over, so you can't really say Merry Christmas anymore. But you just still got, oh, where'd you go, Eric? Oh, whoa. So
I was
Be careful with that hand motion there. That looked
a
little,
sorry, I almost had a
anti-Semitic.
Jeffrey Tubin moment. No, I was trying to read. I just realized I didn't have the comments up, and so I'm like, just moving my monitor around. Yeah, sorry for the crotch shot, guys.
Friend Club Vice President says my background is anti-Semitic. I know, my bad. You don't see the flashing menorah behind me?
Oh, someone just said I Sieg Heil. Yeah, you know, I'm that based.
You did a little bit
as a Jew. Yeah, that's
here. This clip that you posted isn't very long, so here I'll just play it really quick.
Oh, you can do that? Look at you, dude. This is like a real freaking show.
I pulled it up when you were heiling Hitler.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's my boy, obviously.
See, this is why I like having you on to criticize Israel, because they can't call me anti-Semitic.
Say what you want, but he was so good for the economy, you know.
See, you say shit that I can't get away with.
You can say it. I don't know. I can't guarantee what the repercussions are. This is my cat. She comes on my stream, so don't be mad.
Sorry, I had Scarlett say hi earlier.
Cupcake.
All right, let's play this clip of this. No, I'm not even gonna make a. I can't make any jokes. Let's play this clip of this lovely woman.
Her profile's almost as bad as mine. My nose is bigger. I can't even say anything. It's so bad.
Wait, it's not the one on the right, is it? In the blazer? That's a dude, right? Okay. It's one of the things.
Yeah, you're like, which goblin am I looking at? Yeah, I get it. Okay.
All right.
Someone was like, oh, Jewish accents are so beautiful. And I'm like, God, I sound Jewish too. I never even thought about that.
Is this about the H-1B visas at least, so we can at least talk about what we're supposed to talk about?
I'll relate it to it. There's a way to relate it to it, man.
Okay.
Hey,
all right, cool.
Thanks for plugging my clip, bro. Appreciate you.
For sure.
Why would ABC, Disney, the mouse, who has more money than God, settle with Donald Trump?
I honestly don't know.
You know, I've asked, why would ABC? But people ask me all the time, why is the media so mamsy-pamsy? And there are two explanations. The one is they are convinced that if they would just move a little bit to the right, all those MAGA readers out there, now you'll notice the contradiction in terms, MAGA readers would pick up the Washington Post and they would have more readers. What is the logical fallacy here? Yes, reader. And there is nothing that the Washington Post could possibly do that would have those people take out a subscription. But they're convinced they're in there someplace.
Okay.
Why would...
I mean, did you hear how she just called Americans stupid? Could you imagine calling Americans stupid? Like, well, what if you
she's not the only one.
What if you called them retarded or below retarded? Like multiple times. What if you said, oh, I don't know, something like Americans are too stupid to even with training overcome their stupidity and they couldn't have these jobs. So if you're mad at her, imagine if someone said that, how mad you'd be. Oh, wait, that person gives you money on a certain social media website. So you're like, oh, please call me retarded more. I love it. Thank you so much. The way you call me retarded is great, Daddy.
So you're referring to Elon Musk calling us subtards and
oh yeah,
are you retards too?
Are you streaming on X or just YouTube?
Oh, we're streaming on X.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, well, I'm
and
just
Rumble.
I'm trying to be. I'm not gonna get you removed from anything.
Shut up. No, I will be mad if you self-censor. So no, say whatever you want. Plus, they're supposed to start prioritizing video over on X. We'll see how that works out. But let's. I'm gonna jump over
for a while. Remember when Don Lemon had the interview show? They were like, "We're gonna have a bunch of shows on here," and then nothing ever materialized. Yeah.
Don Lemon. So I'll start off this H-1B conversation by reading not Elon's. I have Elon's stuff pulled up here too, but I'll just read Vivek because this is kind of where Vivek really kicked this whole thing off. Then him, Elon agreeing with him. But so he wrote this this longer post. I'll read the whole thing really quick if you don't mind. The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans is because of an innate American IQ deficiency, i.e., a lazy, he's saying that's a lazy and a wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and we're seriously about fixing if we're seriously about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for far too long, at least since the 1990s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, or the jock over the valedictorian, even though jocks are sometimes also valedictorians, will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. I'll just point out that AC Slater got a higher SAT score than Screech in one of the episodes, and a higher SAT score than his girlfriend. I can't remember her name. Not Kelly Kapowski. She was the hot one. Elizabeth Berkley, whoever she played. Anyway, fact, I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 1990s who actively limited how much their kid could watch those TV shows precisely because that promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. And I want to disagree with this, because this is from an era when sitcoms had, like, each episode would have like a lessons learned portion in it. Like I think I was telling you the other day how there's an episode of Saved by the Bell, like an early episode, where it was the stock market, and Miss Bliss put her own money into the stock market, and then Zach took it over, and he ended up buying on margin, and he lost Miss Bliss like $1,500. So they're teaching about the stock market, and then how not to play the stock market, and then how it's also like immoral to lie to your teacher. Like, it's teaching a life lesson. So anyway, I'll just say sitcoms don't do that anymore. You still there, Eric?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just.
Okay.
I was trying to give you space. So my big issue is this nerd is like, oh yeah, you guys are having too much fun. I wish you guys were just slaves all the time, automatons, robots, And newsflash, Vivek, the reason you lost your presidential campaign is because clearly you didn't have enough fun in your life, and that's why you didn't connect very well with people on the campaign trail. And that was why you're in the Ron DeSantis class of what we call awkward politicians, not the ones that you can have a beer with. You're the guy who you think that you're going to slip the drug into the beer because you're awkward. Okay.
Wow. That's brutal, bro. Because I actually really like Vivek. I just greatly disagree with him.
I used to like Vivek until he called my culture fucking stupid. Okay.
Which culture?
The culture of American lifestyle, where we have freedom to enjoy things and not work all the time, you commie.
Hey, you got to admit, he looks really good in an aviator jacket.
He'll look really good deported. Okay.
Oh, Mike, he isn't even born here.
I don't care. Get out.
If you guys are new to the show, and if you're new to Eric is a comedian, so
I'm a senator. So yeah, my words are very important, and this is news. No, yeah, I'm a nobody comedian, so don't worry about what I say.
That's not true.
I'm huge on Twitter.
You need to get back on the stage, man.
I was too busy talking about Jews. So I have a channel called Immune to the System to plug myself. You can go check it out. I'm also at Eric Abinante, but I just got monetized on YouTube. Holy crap. It's big time. It's happening. So I actually will have time to get back on stage. I've been working I've been working a lot, but yeah, this is awesome. I'm working towards this. So please follow my journey as I ruin my reputation even further by really getting back on stage and saying what I need to say. When I started doing stand-up, I was compared to Alex Jones before I even watched Alex Jones, because they thought I was crazy. My views of the world,
Lizard people.
Yeah. I was
big hybrids.
I was warning about vaccine injuries in 2018 on stage, and it's like probably, you know, it's like I should probably craft jokes about more normal things. But anyway.
You remember the anti-vax, like the OG anti-vax movement with Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey and shit? That was like a left-wing thing. That's why this whole thing's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff goes back and forth. So to tie it back to the H-1B thing, so originally this was a Democrat position. So my clip, if you go onto my page, there's a clip of John Cornyn. John Cornyn and Dick Durbin are having a battle over the H-1Bs. Dick Durbin is a Democrat. Dick Durbin is saying we need to be essentially America first, not nearly as forcefully as a MAGA person, but he is the one saying we need to protect American workers. And then this rhino douchebag, John Cornyn, is like, we need to sell out America. Well, I'm going to participate in the great replacement theory for cash. So the issue with this is like, we don't really talk about this properly. Of MAGA is a rebellion against establishment Republicans as much, if not more, than Democrats. So when
that's why they've drawn so many Democrats
and then
to the party.
The other thing that we do need to talk about with the Elon discussion, he's literally parroting Bill Gates. Bill Gates was the one who actually started this H-1B thing in 1998 to 2000. He spearheaded the tech bro initial movement of expanding the H-1Bs. So if you want to say that Elon Musk is based when he's literally saying what Bill Gates is saying, no, he's Klaus Schwab. That's what Elon Musk is. And if you don't understand that, you are behind the times of a man who revealed himself to you. He said he's going to war with Americans. He's Mars first. He's not America first. This is the moment when Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, those type of George Soros, have any of them ever said, fuck your face to you?
Now, to be fair, he was quoting Tropic Thunder, but to your point, it wasn't even then, the character that he's quoting in Tropic Thunder is over the top, an asshole, a warmonger. Yeah, he's not the good guy. So
yeah,
granted, that was Tom Cruise's best role that he's ever had.
It wasn't like a Braveheart moment. That's like the bad guy moment from Braveheart. Yeah, it's just so.
Hold on. Before we go too far into the H-1B visa thing, I think we should tell people what the H-1B visa thing is. So I have Brave AI pulled up right here, and let's give a quick definition of it. So it says H-1B visa meaning is based on the provided. Okay, blah blah blah. An H-1B visa is a non-immigrant work visa that allows U.S. employers to temporarily employ foreign workers in specialty occupations. Here's the key points. Purpose: the H-1B visa is designed for employment in special occupations that require specialized knowledge and a bachelor's degree or equivalent work experience. Eligibility: employers must sponsor individuals for the visas, and the employee must possess a bachelor's degree or higher in a relevant field, as well as specialized knowledge and skills, which is weird because you're seeing all these H-1B visas popping up for like line cooks and shit like that. Duration: the initial stay is typically 3 years, extended to 6 years, after which the visa holder can reapply. Certain exceptions allow for extensions beyond 6 years, such as pending green card applications or approved I-140 immigrant petitions. Annual cap: the U.S. government sets an annual cap of 65,000 H-1B visas, with additional 20,000 visas reserved for foreign nationals holding a master's or high degree from the U.S. institution.
Can I stop you really quick?
Yeah, but isn't their whole thing is they're trying to raise that cap?
Yeah. So okay. The cap only is down to 65,000 because of Donald Trump. From 2000 to 2015, the average was around 120,000 because it was 1.8 million ish. So far different than the 65,000. People point to the 65,000. They say, "Oh, it's only 65,000." Well, one, to get those 65,000, you had to promise that their spouses would also get work. So it's actually 130,000. And then actually, it continues to really snowball from there because H-1B is only one of the programs. You have J1, L1, O1. You have all these alphabet soup of immigrant programs. And so when people lie to you and say, oh, it's only this much, oh, only one program is that much. And honestly, all these programs are scams, but the O1, the extraordinary talent. So if you're talking about, everyone talks about, we don't want to miss out on a LeBron James or Albert Einstein, right? They're talking about the best of the best. But in reality, you're not getting Albert Einstein or LeBron James of your field from an H-1B. That's an O1. So the H-1B is an entry-level worker. As much as you've been brainwashed on this, that is the reality of it. The majority of H-1Bs require a boot camp. In fact, the issue, one person here, it was Jackie Ritako, said that people do not understand how far behind workforce preparation we are. 2 generations behind. Why are we behind 2 generations in workforce preparation, Jackie? Because during the Great Replacement Theory, because of this H-1B visa program, American workers have basically been put in a cycle in perpetuity where they start off at entry level, they move up to the point where they can train their replacement. That person then replaces you, and then that person will work up to that level until they train their replacement over and over again. Because what this derived from was the auto industry was actually paying people properly. And at one point, the pensions were so they couldn't pay the pensions. There's all these news stories about how the auto industry couldn't pay the pensions. And so these tech bros are like, oh, we ain't going to make that mistake of not being able to pay the pensions. My wife. So we're not going to be able to make the mistake of paying the pensions. We're going to continually put these workers in indentured servitude perpetuity. We're just going to continually have them at entry level because it doesn't matter how good you are if you are going to be replaced by someone who is going to be paid half as much as you. That is, you're not competing based off of your skills. You're competing based off of how much you are going to degrade your value for the company. It is not about you. And I can show you this because in every area, computer science, information technology, etc., when they test this, China, India, Russia is on one portion, and then America is a standard deviation higher minimum. We are better. And we are being told that we aren't skilled enough to take these jobs. Why? So that we degrade our value. We don't accept what we're worth. That's the whole point of this.
You're getting pretty worked up about this one.
Because this is the whole reason why we are in a situation where we don't get paid properly. And then, oh, look at this tech bro, this tech genius, Elon Musk. He's the richest guy in the world. He took your government subsidies, your tax dollars, and what did he do? He said, fuck your face. You're retarded. That's what he said to you as he continually replaced your job over and over with a cheaper H-1B over and over so he didn't have to pay you properly. Yeah, he's great.
Well, I could throw that up on screen, the F your face one, but he did clarify his position, but I don't think he did very good.
He backed down. He said he's going to war and you aren't prepared for this. And he backed down like a punk bitch in 12 hours. And you aren't ready for what's going to come for you. We're going to hold this over for you for the rest of your fucking life.
Man, you're going hard in the paint. So I don't know. I'm not as knowledgeable on the H-1B situation as yourself, but the way I look at the whole thing, it's easy to see how somebody from another country would be happy to accept a lower salary, especially if their going to be able to bring their family with them, if they're going to get discounted housing because it's housing that
I do want to say this really quick. We are not hating the players in the system. We are hating the game. There is nothing wrong with any of the people involved in here. You would do the same thing if you were in their shoes. So I'm not complaining about the people here who are, again, just like the person who is forced to train their replacement. You can make fun of them, but if you were in their shoes, you'd probably do the same damn thing. Everyone, you would do the same damn thing, except if you were in Elon Musk's shoes, you would be a better person than him. All of you would. I guarantee you. That's the one difference.
Well, there's the whole argument as well about the shortage of workers. You know, there were short workers in whatever trade that you want to say. But I think Jackie said something about shortage in the healthcare industry with doctors and nurses and that sort of thing. It's like, well, a bunch of people were just forced to take an injection or quit their job. So that's a huge part of it. And then this stuff coming on the heels of DEI, where a lot of people, there's this whole argument right now saying that if you're against H-1B visas and you want to say we should prioritize Americans, they're like, what you really mean is white Americans. It's like, no, not at all. Prioritize Americans, which includes white Americans, but this comes on the heels of the diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives that inherently excluded white, male, straight, Christian, conservative people. So we just put somebody into office that is going to try at least and squash this whole DEI thing. And now you're talking about how it seems that you want to prioritize people from another country over Americans, which includes the people that were just discriminated against based on DEI hiring practices. So, you know, they're trying to call this whole thing racist. They're trying to say that you're racist if you're not down with this stuff. And I talked about, I think on my last stream, that I'm not anti-immigration. People that come here and become United States citizens are, for the most part, wonderful Americans. They love American culture. They're willing to learn the language. They respect freedom of speech and gun rights and all that stuff. That's one of the reasons why they want to come here and become a citizen. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people coming here strictly for that job. And, you know, it does seem like prioritizing people from another country over Americans.
There is a fallacy that there is a shortage of workers. The quote unquote shortage of workers was created after they laid people off and wouldn't hire people at the same rate that they were paying them. The shortage is shortage of people to accept the pay rate that we desire, not an actual shortage of workers. The best example of this is Obama is on a video chat just like this with someone asking about H-1Bs, and he's trying to explain to her, the wife of an engineer, oh, you know, the companies, they really want high tech and they need high tech people. And then she's saying, well, my husband, it could get worse. Don't worry. She's trying to say that she's like saying, well, my husband is actually a semiconductor engineer. And it's like, oh, wait. So basically one of the most important things you could think of, like the semiconductors, we literally consider a national security risk. So like if we don't have them. So, but this guy, he's been out of work for 3 years, even though he has 10 years experience. Why? Because he was probably up for a promotion. And then at 10 years, you are you not entitled, but you have earned a certain amount on the market. And then accepting way less than that, not because of anything you did wrong, but because companies are continually undercutting you by bringing in H-1Bs and, you know, all the other alphabet soups. That's not your fault. And that is a manipulation of the market that needs to be removed. They say it feels like oppression when you have like actual meritocracy and you haven't experienced that. Yeah, it's going to feel like oppression to the tech bros to actually remove their cheap labor system. Yeah, it is going to feel like that, huh? You're going to have to actually pay people properly and give people pensions and have retirement. Yeah, that's like, that was the deal. And that's why you get all these government subsidies and all these other things that we shouldn't be giving you. So this is a major issue of we are so bought and paid for by these companies who just like lobby to us what our policies should be, that we don't even realize that we're advocating for our own demise for them for free on X because we want our monetization money. It's absolutely pathetic.
Well, I mean, we talked about this on the phone a couple days ago too, that it does create a much more controllable.
I never talked to you on the phone.
That's fair. It creates a much more controllable employee. So it's not necessarily good for the person that comes here on the H-1B visa either, because if they're put up in housing that is owned by the company at, a discounted monthly rent rate, and if they lose their job, they lose their housing, they got to go back to the country that they came from. It's where somebody that is from an American employee can simply quit their job and go look for a job somewhere else. If you're here on an H-1B visa and they're asking you to work extra long hours, they're asking you to do things that, Americans might not do, you're just going to do it because you could lose everything. So they kind of own you. It creates like a indentured servitude type situation, which isn't good for anyone except the company.
Well, okay, and then we got a comment that's saying that this is different in other sectors like healthcare. No, again, this is a problem across our whole society where there are men across society who haven't been in a job that they should be in, that they could build into a career for generations. It's like really around the Obama administration, you really saw this. So we have a lost generation of men and women really that could have been those people, but we chose not to allow them to have those opportunities. Instead, we said, let's bring in these immigrants who can work at 50% of the price. And if you don't understand that this is all about getting,
it's not 50%, it's closer to 85%, but still it drives down wages.
Well, no, the clip I have originally on my channel, it was a news program, and they were talking about it was normally around 50% of the price of what they were normally getting at. You can go on my page and check that out. So this is just a major concern here of like, yeah, if I can undercut you that much, and also, I can deport you instead of fire you. If you don't understand the game here, I can't really spoon feed to you everything on all of this. They are playing you, and you have to pull the veil over your eyes in some way.
If I don't think there'd be nearly as much of an issue.
By the way,
hold on, Eric. Jeez.
No, just to Jackie, really quick. I had a relative who was just had to not go to, they were at the hospital, and they were astounded by the amount of nurses just like sleeping on the job, and really they were not very impressed by the level of work of some of these healthcare workers, and some of them were clearly H-1Bs. So let's stop glorifying these people and demeaning Americans. You've been brainwashed into this over and over. Oh, Americans are terrible, even though they score higher on every metric. Oh, and these immigrants are great, even though they are just cheaper. That's it.
I don't think Jackie's trying to glorify it, but the point I was going to make
I'm not attacking her. I know that's one of your viewers. Sorry, Jackie. I'm not attacking. Michael is great here. I'm not attacking one of his viewers. I'm just saying I'm attacking the notion. Okay.
So I don't think there would be nearly as much of an issue with this H-1B visa thing if the companies were like, you know what, we really have a shortage, we're willing to pay you more. We're gonna pay you 10% over what we typically start somebody at. That would drive up wages. So if that was the case, I don't think people would have nearly as much of an issue with that. The problem is it's driving down wages for American workers. If you can,
I'm going to let you know as soon as they say, and it's an actual reality, that you have to pay them the average rate, the actual amount, they would never do it. But, oh, wait, what if someone's coming in and running a thing called Doge, and the whole point is to destroy regulation so that there are no cops? Because the whole point of the H-1B program was you had to prove that you hired American first, and then you could have the privilege of accessing the H-1B program. But of course, there's no one to ever enforce any of those things, because as you know, regulations really don't work. So when you have these laws, it's tough. You have to basically say the only regulations we have that we can enforce and make work are all America first type regulations, because all the other regulations we've seen, they can be abused to no end, and you can always bribe them in some way. This is not a way we want to be doing things.
So let's look at some of the nonsense that they put out. So Elon Musk was responding to this guy who posted a video of Elon, and his quotes are, "Stop trying to optimize things that shouldn't exist." He says, "Elon, let's optimize H-1Bs." And Elon responds to him. He says, "The reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies, is that I made America Tesla and hundreds of other companies that made America strong is because of H-1B. Take a big step back, fuck yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, like to the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend." So people are trying to say, "Oh, he was just trying to be a funny guy because he was, quoting Tropic Thunder." But I mean, well, you're clearly saying that though. And what do you mean that you're going to go to war? And you're telling people that have an issue with bringing in cheaper labor, driving down American wages, that you're going to go to war with us? I mean, yeah, it was definitely tactically not a good idea. And there's this other one where he calls people subtards. So he says he responded to Autism Capital, and Autism Capital says, so basically the right split into two factions, the tech right and the right. The tech right is like, hey, we need H-1B visa people here to do the jobs. And the right was like, no, you need to hire Americans. And the tech right is like, but you guys are retarded. And the right is like, you don't train us. And the tech right is like, you can't out train being retarded. And while all this is going on, we learned some people really don't like Indians. And Elon says, yep, that pretty much sums it up. This was eye-opening. So he's agreeing with them. He's agreeing with them, saying that Americans are retarded. And you can't train the retardation out of Americans. And it's highly disappointing, especially after knowing what, how many people have decided, yeah, I'm not going into these woke ass colleges. Even if I get an engineering degree, every department is using DEI, is using, all they're jamming all this wokeness down our throats. Is like, I'm going to go and be a tradesman, and you're inherently getting less engineers because of all this nonsense. And he's like, oh, you're retarded. That is frustrating.
Yeah, I have an answer to Elon Musk and all this, and it was in my fortune cookie today. One always regrets what they could have done. Remember that for next time. Yes, Elon. You do regret what you said, didn't you? And you need to remember that for next time. Yeah, but in the end, you really can't say you can't unsay what you said. So that you hate Americans. You revealed yourself. And you're not cool anymore. Can't believe you were cool at one point to some people, but you're not cool anymore. So just remember that, Elon. That was a choice you made.
I've been critical, not even critical. I've been very skeptical of Elon this whole time. And I haven't trusted him this whole time with how many of his fingers he has and how many different pies, and his relationship with Peter Thiel and Palantir, how much data he is aggregating, what he's going to do with that data, wanting to make X the Everything app, his idea with a carbon tax, banking through X. He's definitely got contracts with intelligence agencies with this whole SpaceX thing. I am not highly trusting of Elon, and I do worry that he has an ulterior motive.
What made you skeptical of him initially? Do you remember? You have like how do you remember how you thought of him initially, or like kind of what you made? Like, it's interesting that you were early on this. So what was like the first thing that was like kind of gave you you're like, the smell test is off? What was that?
No, I mean, he's the world's richest man, and he clearly he's going to want things to play out in a way that's going to benefit him, in than what he's doing with. He bought a platform that has access to insane amounts of data, your purchase history, obviously all the things that you say, and his relationship with Peter Thiel, co-founding PayPal with Peter Thiel, and then Peter Thiel creating Palantir, who's for the first 5 years of Palantir's existence, their only company was the CIA. And what is Palantir? Essentially started off as just basically a giant data dragnet. So you couple what Elon's doing with Twitter and, it's data aggregation, and then couple that with a guy that created a system that can be used essentially for pre-crime. It knows everything about you and can use AI to just flag people for, oh, this person doesn't have the right opinions. And then if Elon, we talk about a social credit score all the time. If he wants to do banking and wants everything to be through this one app, make everyone so reliant on this one app that if they say the wrong thing, instead of simply getting deplatformed, they're going to get debanked. We've already seen that happen to people. And, Elon, before any of this, the whole electric car industry thing, you hear him talk about, the climate and, carbon taxes and things like that. And you're like, I don't like that stuff so much. And, I listen to a lot of Whitney Webb and I read her books. So I wouldn't say I was early on this. If you factor in all the different things that Elon's doing, it's easy to be like, yeah, I don't know if he has, I don't know if he's doing this because of America First. Could he be doing? And again, a lot of people like to say, well, he's doing what's right. He's doing what's right for the world. He wants to move humanity forward. And it's like, okay, well, what if his idea of moving humanity forward isn't my idea of moving humanity forward? He wants to put chips in people's brains and send people to Mars. I don't know if that's necessarily the direction humanity should go. So yeah, he might be doing what he thinks is best for humanity, and what he thinks is best for humanity might be completely wrong. So yeah, I'm not saying, look, you can both appreciate everything that Elon's done with, what he's done with SpaceX is amazing. The reusable rockets, them landing themselves, all that crap, that shit's amazing. What he's done with the electric car companies, or with Tesla, and revolutionized that space. It's amazing. And hold on really quick. And then buying Twitter and making it into a platform that allows a lot of us to speak again that weren't allowed to speak before. All that stuff's admirable. You can appreciate all that stuff with being skeptical at the same time.
Yeah, but it's like saying, just because he made Starlink doesn't mean he doesn't hate America and hasn't like declared war on America. So I appreciate Starlink. It's cool. It became a lot less cool when I found out he hated America. Like, okay, would you trust putting a brain chip inside of you if that person was like, yeah, you're retarded? Anyways, put this brain chip inside. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Do you think he has your best intentions if he thinks you're sub-retarded? And mind you, let's go back to the Holocaust. It's a fun thing to do. Everyone loves that. So 1933, Hitler and Germany pass a law about the disabled and basically all the people that Elon would call sub.
Keep talking, Eric. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. This is now my show. I am your host. I really appreciate this. Maybe I won't give it back to him. Maybe I'm the captain now. He's not getting this show back. Anyways, so in 1933, they passed a law basically saying that we're going to sterilize all of these different groups that we consider subhuman. And where did they get that idea from? Oh, they got that from eugenicists in America, who also were spreading this idea about subhumanism. And that's what led to, of course, the 1935 law about, like, you know, Jews can't marry Germans, yada, yada, yada. And then so it's this kind of talk that, oh, yeah, like this, you know, again, I actually think the, you know, comparisons to Hitler are almost always overused and not properly done. But when you're talking about subtard, where does that come? It's a purely eugenic idea of seeing people that are inferior and, those people shouldn't have a say, they shouldn't be able to breed, yada yada. So this is a dangerous, slippery slope that can be expressed in his own political opinions. When they asked him about, what do you think the government style should be on Mars, he was saying it shouldn't be a representative democracy, basically saying, like, yeah, I'd love to run this, you know, like a dictatorship. You know, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be the one who runs Mars. I'm not gonna listen to you peons who I think are subtarded.
Well, so back to the Everything app too. You know how
and I get the counter to this is, yeah, he's considered the smartest guy in the world. Why wouldn't he think you were retarded or, you know, beneath him intelligently? And my counter to that is, yeah, but he was stupid enough to say it multiple times. And if you want to, you know, influence and, you know, control people, usually one of the best things to do is to not call them retarded and to not reveal your true intentions. Other people are smarter about that. I don't like Bill Gates. He's smarter about concealing his intentions than Elon Musk. And it's quite apparent.
Well, he's clearly expressed that he wants to turn X into the Everything app, where you can buy stuff on here, you can bank through here. Obviously, you can do the things that you already do on X, but, you know, replace YouTube. He wants to make people highly reliable on this platform. Now, you look at the response to all of this, you know, his calling people subtards and the H-1B thing. It's highly suspicious how all of these giant accounts seem to be falling in line and just like, yes, you're right, Elon. Everybody's racist that is against these, you know, H-1B visas being handed out and driving down wages. They're clearly retarded and racist. So it's already showing a level of control over people's opinions. Now amplify that if everybody was doing their banking through here. You know, people are monetized through here, so it's like, oh, don't want to disagree with Lord Elon. And I'm not saying that that's what everybody's doing, but you got to be highly suspicious. So here, Ian Miles Chong, for example, I can't stand the guy, but he's falling in line with everything that Elon's saying, and then people are like pulling up old posts of his, and it's like, well, what do we have here? So Elon's falling in line saying, yeah, anybody who's got issues with the H-1B things are racist, and yeah, all these people disagreeing with Elon are retarded. And then here's a tweet from him from April 30th of 2022, and he says, immigrants depress wages by competing with native workers. It's observable anywhere in the UK, France, Japan, Canada, and in the US, even developing countries where immigrants take low-end menial jobs and lower the market rates. He says the New York Times claims this isn't happening. Then he also says this is also true for this is a reply to somebody. He says this is also true for professional jobs in Silicon Valley companies used to pay far better when they weren't importing Indians on H-1B visas to live in squalid apartment blocks owned by the companies. Entertainment companies paid better when they weren't outsourcing animation. It's like, okay, why have you just completely flipped that argument on its head now? Why are you coming from the exact opposite position now? And it's like, well, this is somebody that Elon reposts all the time and is making a bunch of money from this platform. Also somebody that doesn't live in America. He lives in Malaysia. And yeah, it's funny how a lot of people are all falling in line. And if you couple that with now you're doing your banking through here, you're ordering all your stuff through here.
This is what I wanted to get at. I wanted to give you credit because you were probably the first person that I had heard like really talk about Elon has the potential to really create like China's social credit score. That whole
So Pete Grabber just said in the chat there, North American correspondent, he just said Elon wants to turn X into WeChat. Is that what WeChat is? Like an everything app? I don't even know what WeChat is.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. But do you want to expand on the social credit score thing? Because I really I thought that was quite brilliant, and I need to get water anyways.
Well, I mean, yeah, everybody knows the social credit score thing, and I don't know how accurate it is. Also, I mean, I've sort of walked back from my idea that China, like, yes, they're an authoritarian government, but how much of this is propaganda? How much are we being propagandized about China being more authoritarian than they actually are, and how much are we blowing things out of proportion? Like, anyway, it was the social credit score. They talk about how if you jaywalk, that dings you off your it's points off of your social credit score. Just like everybody knows what a credit score is. How the higher your number on your credit score, the more credit you have, the more likely a lender is going to give you a loan, a home loan, car loan, another credit card, whatever. Now apply that to every aspect of life. It's like, oh no, you can't shop here because your social credit score is too low. Oh no, you can't eat at this restaurant. You can't use our banking, whatever, based on your opinions or your perceived behavior that isn't in line with, the establishment idea of how someone should behave. So, but again, I don't know how much we've been propagandized about how bad China actually is, but it's easy to understand what a social credit score would do.
Yeah, I just again, it's making connections like that, seeing patterns as they happen. Those are the types of intelligence that I really respect, and that was a good example of it. So
well, let's clarify though. Elon was right about me. I am a subtard.
Man, it's such a hater position. I'm a friend of yours. How dare you talk about Michael like that, Michael?
I don't claim to be a genius. I probably am a midwit, but
I think you should give yourself more credit. Let's compete on who can be more self-deprecating. But no, I think in the end, here's the thing, and Jackie makes a good point that I want to address. Elon is saying that he wants to reform H-1B, but he wants the top tech talent right now. Yeah, the whole moderating on the position, that would have been fine without the entire temper tantrum.
Right. And it is interesting. It's like somebody got in his ear about it. Maybe somebody that wrote a book about the art of the deal. It's like somebody clearly got to him and was like, dude, you need to chill off on all this shit. And
in the end, I think I didn't believe the New York Post article. Not initially. I kind of misread it the first time. But once you kind of reread it and then you realize, oh, this could be just like a generalized statement. I was more paying attention to Elon's actions. And then when Elon backed down, to me, there's only one person in the world who can make Elon back down from something, and that's Trump. And so when he backed down, I breathed a sigh of relief of, oh, okay, Trump is not going to publicly sun him, as the kids say, not going to embarrass him of like, hey, take a sit down here and I'm going to tell you how to do this. He's going to basically privately coach him and saying, this is how you get out of this. And I respect Trump and what he did there, but I can't unsee and unhear what Elon said about me. And Jackie also made a good point. She laid out all the different things that Bill Gates has done. Trust me, I don't like Bill Gates. I'm saying Bill Gates was smart enough to never be that overt with his hatred. His actions, yes, have shown his hatred, but the the revealing that he provided there, I don't think we've ever really seen that from someone that powerful. And that's what I'm trying to have people grasp here. This is a little more serious than we want to let on, because just like Michael was describing earlier, he is paying people to not say anything and threatening people with to take away the payment if they do say something, as you saw with Laura Loomer. And so if you control an entire system that says, I pay you if you follow the rules, and then one of those rules is you have to agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, I'll make up something like you didn't properly blur out the information on an FEC document, and that was the rule you broke. No, as we learned from the FBI and the CIA, if they want to get you, they will find a rule you broke. So I am very dubious when you have that much incentive to tear someone down and then you tear someone down. I find it quite convenient. And I'm more looking at, he's basically saying, if you don't agree with me, you get demonetized. That was the message he sent. And even if it's just one person plus a bunch of people who are affiliated, the self-censorship is on. It is not a free speech platform anymore, in the sense that people are already afraid to speak in some way. And so once you've hit that point where people are self-censoring for money, you're YouTube.
Well, in Elon's defense on this one, so apparently Loomer got suspended because she inadvertently, or maybe on purpose, she doxed that dude, the guy that Trump appointed. I can't even remember for what position it was, but allegedly doxed him. Like, she didn't redact his personal information enough. And then what happened to all those other people that were under the conservative label? They had that conservative stamp next to their name. They all lost their check marks because she was the creator of that. You can like apply for an affiliate badge, and she was like the head of that company or whatever. So everybody lost their check mark.
No, she was just a part of it. She was not the creator.
I think it was under her name, and that's why everybody lost their check mark.
No.
Okay.
I have insider information on that. I'm going to leave it at that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not allowed to divulge my sources there, but that is not true.
Well, it's being portrayed as like her name was on the list.
Yeah. Oh, it is being portrayed that way, isn't it? Huh?
By Adrian Dittman, who totally isn't Elon.
Huh, that's interesting. Huh? That guy, huh?
Adrian Dittman. So the Adrian Dittman thing, do you think it's Elon?
On my show, I have been very clear on this. I don't care about all the other details. All I want to know is, why does this account happen to have administrative access that no other account has? Meaning they can simulcast one space and then be in another, so you're in two spaces. I've never seen that. Then they can unmute themselves when the host has all mute. I've never seen that either. So those are what we call administrative access. In other words, you pretty much have to be the owner of the website to have such access. So answer those two questions for me. No one has been able to. Once you answer those two questions for me, I will stop caring about Adrian Dittman. But no one's been able to answer those questions for me. It's very interesting.
Well, people have said that he's been running a space before while Elon was live on stage somewhere.
That doesn't address what I'm saying. I hear what you're saying of like, there's this rumor that, Adrian and him will never be communicating at the same time or whatever, right?
They've been on space together, haven't they?
Yeah, well, yeah. So so they're saying like, oh, there's a rumor they will never communicate at the same time. That's not. I don't. These are all distraction plays. I just want to know those two things about the administrative access, because all the other stuff, I don't really care. I'm just very curious about that. No one's been able to answer me.
Yeah, I'm not going to come out and say that I for sure think that Adrian Dittman is Elon. It is very weird that he has like the exact same voice, the exact same voice inflection. His laugh is the same. and he seems to be lockstep in every single opinion and position that Elon takes. It's very strange, but I'm not going to go out and say that Adrian Dittman is Elon, but he clearly is. I don't know. Maybe Elon cloned himself or something. Because
really, really quickly to go back to the Laura and the affiliation thing, I just want to make it clear. For a fact, I know that people were guilty by association. It wasn't that she was the leader of the group. That is a justification for why everyone got banned. No, it was guilty by association. She was an affiliate, and then the rest of the affiliates also got banned.
What happened with all the groypers?
I don't know. I'm Jewish. I don't know that world. What?
I don't know that world much either. I mean, I know some.
I would assume that the groypers were probably not afraid to say things, and then they got banned because they didn't care about money. I would assume so. I mean,
there's a lot of them.
I don't know.
Like 30 of them or something.
They got banned. Yeah, I can't speak for why I just know the conservative OGs thing. But the why the groypers got banned, I don't know. I if it's related to the H-1B thing, it's what I'm referencing earlier. Like I wouldn't expect those guys to pull punches. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why.
I do think this thing got blown like way out of proportion. And I'm not trying to say like we should all be this like nice big kumbaya group and we should be in line with each other on every issue. But this does seem like much less of an issue than our wide open borders and sanctuary state policies.
This is our wide open borders and sanctuary city.
No, come on. We got what, 20 million people came
very quickly. If we have a corroded legal immigration system, then that is just illegal immigration by another name. You're just bringing it in more officially.
But the scale of it.
Again, they talk to you about the scale of it like it's a small thing. Again, just one program I illustrated to you is not, and even at the lower caps of what we're talking about with Donald Trump, the 65 is more like 130 because of the spouses. And then that's just one program, and you add them up over and over and over again per year. And that pretty much equals the Great Replacement theory. This is more impactful than the illegal immigration, even though we need to take care of both, because this directly is taking jobs. The illegal immigration is indirectly taking jobs.
Right, but they're not dealing fentanyl and they're not human trafficking.
And again, I'm not saying, oh, you don't take care of illegal immigration. You do both. But this is a vital thing that you have to fix. This isn't like, oh, we can compromise on this issue. This is antithetical to the movement. If you give up on this issue, you will not fix the intrinsic problems that we've been having over and over. How do you compromise with managed decline of America? Oh, we're just only going to do half of the managed decline? That's the issue here. You can't.
Read Jackie's question.
What is your idea to fix the H-1B situation and our need for top talent right now? Very simple. We didn't have a need for top talent. We fired the people because we didn't want to pay them properly. And so we decided, let's go into this perpetual cycle of you're going to train your replacement. Okay, entry-level employee. Now you're going to train your replacement. And when you can live in that cycle over and over, you will do anything to stay in that cycle. You will buy a social media company, use that to propagandize the entire country, and then get them to argue for their own demise. Oh, and it's not even the thing you started. It's the thing that the tech bro you looked up to started, Bill Gates. This is his grand master plan that Elon is participating in and really taking the baton and going quicker than Bill Gates has ever gone with it. So, again, I don't see the point of compromising with them selling out our country. The compromise is we stop them selling out our country. The fix to the H-1B situation is that we don't allow companies to just offshore the talent. So in the end, if you can keep the people, you incentivize that. The fact that we have like an H-1B, which is an easy out, an unenforceable thing, saying you can have access to this program where you can continually over and over replace your employee for a fraction of what you have currently, you'll never, ever even want to promote anybody except the people you have to promote, the most vital people, until you can replace them. So this is a unfortunate situation where someone tasked one person to sell out their country. They did it, and then it just continued. Trump is the person to say, we're stopping this. I know it's painful. I know there's going to be a lot of tantrums. I know there's going to be some of the richest people in the world who are going to say, fuck your face. I don't care. That's my solution.
So you don't think that there is a shortage of workers for
there
these
wasn't
positions?
until they fired everybody because they were making too much money. In every single industry, we had this issue.
I don't know the veracity of those claims in the tech industry.
Okay, so let's talk about
that. Doesn't seem the case in the tech industry. Hold on. If you're a really good coder in tech, I mean, you don't like you keep working your way up in tech. Like I work in Silicon Valley in these companies, and if you're really good, you can almost write your own paycheck if you're really good.
Let's go through the cycle of how like even like the stock market and this kind of idea of having your company be worth the most actually really corroded things, because the stockholders controlling the whims of a company rather than like the owner of a company who used to actually like care about the workers, and they stockholders don't care about that. So at one point, all of our companies just looked at bottom line, and they didn't care about loyalty, and they didn't care that you put in your decades into this company. We're going to replace you. And it happened over and over. So this talent pool, again, every single company, you can look back, and the word massive layoffs, go back. This is a historical thing. I lived through this, and you did too. It's just the headlines may have passed by you, but it was layoff after layoff at all these different companies in this managed decline of America. And it even happened before our lifetime as well, because we used to make things here and now we just train people to replace us so that they can make things in other places. Usually it is a sad state of affairs what our economy has gotten into, because we've continually allowed people over and over to sell us out. And I just hope people don't buy into them literally trying to say, no, it's great that I'm replacing you with someone cheaper over and over. That's the talent issue that they keep creating.
I think the cheaper labor part of it is I'm pretty much primarily focused on the Silicon Valley aspect of it, the engineers and the computer.
Okay, no, I'll go to your tech thing then. Tech actually, out of all the industries, cannot make this claim because it is so rapidly developing. So you need highly skilled workers in an industry that is constantly developing. How are you going to bring in those people? You would obviously have to train them. And so they don't want to train people who cost more. This is all about the prolonging of the cost of it over and over again. That's what this is about. Because if it was about skill, they'd be looking elsewhere. They'd be looking at the people who scored highest deviation. So that's the other thing. If this was a skills-based thing and we're looking for the best talent, why did they continually go for the cheapest talent? One of the things I find interesting about this whole thing is
Elon's always talking about how, you know, a lot of these computer engineering positions are going to be replaced by AI, and then at the same time he's saying we need to bring in more computer programmers. It's
that was
kind of strange to me.
I'm jealous. That's such a good point. I wish I made that. That's a great point. Yes, the fallacy of that. You know, the AI is going to replace it. We need all the top talent. You know, it's like he's clearly trying to bide his time by continually replacing you over and over until AI replaces you. Yes, that's a great point.
I don't know if that's necessarily the point I was making. It's just it's interesting how it's like, well, wait, if half or 80% of all these tech jobs are going to be replaced with AI, why do we need to bring in? I mean, maybe that's the play. He doesn't want to lay off American workers. He'd rather send people back to their country. I don't know, but it's strange that it's like, okay, we need to bring people in for jobs that are going to be obsolete within a few years. Like, it seems odd to me.
There's a thread or a long post by Vish Burra. It's very good. It lays out how most of these H-1Bs are entry level. Some of them, the only requirement is that they have the lowest level of English needed to pass an interview. And then the government will collude to actually lie about their resume with them so that they can get a job. This is what you want. Those are the skilled labor you want that's replacing you. And then you're glorifying them while demeaning yourself. Think about what they brainwashed you with.
I'm just very happy that I'm in an industry that's such a niche industry that you're not really getting people with H-1B visas coming over to build conference rooms and video walls and that sort of thing.
They ain't CaliBased.
It's stupid.
That's you play the music and you end it right there. Damn it! No,
I don't even have. I do have a song. We just don't have a video to go with it yet. But
CaliBased song.
No, it's not that. I actually took the. Do you remember the whole cicada something? Cicada and some numbers thing. It was like this. This was back in like 2015, 2016, where it was like people were thinking it was some sort of CIA thing where they were trying to find people to solve puzzles. Do you remember this? Cicada 321. No. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, I took the song for one of the things that the cicada people put out. And it was like there's something embedded in this song. There's like it was a bunch of they were trying to find like code breakers or something like that. Cicada 3301. Thank you, Northside. Yeah, I took that song. It was one of the first like code breaking songs that they put out, and I have my buddy Remy Red put a bunch of like historical quotes and historical moments over the music. It actually came out pretty good, but I need to have a video to go with it. So I'll have that. Good times on 4chan. Yeah, Northside knows what I'm talking about. You don't know about Cicada 3301, bro? I thought you were a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist like me.
Nah, I don't even know top 10 songs. I've had my friends test me on this, and they're like, this is the hottest song of this year. And I'll be like, I've never heard this song, and it sucks ass. You know, so it's just like I'm a curmudgeon. I'm not. I like old music, and I like instruments. I like people playing the instruments and not like a computer doing it. I'm an asshole and I'm weird. You know, how dare I?
Nicole Shanahan put together. I'm going off of Jackie's last comment here. I wish I had time to read it, but she put a whole thread together about her stance on the H-1B visas things. And it's really good. If you haven't read it yet, you should check it out. Nicole Shanahan.
Yeah, she was very impressive throughout the whole campaign. She and her campaign team, the way they developed those advertisements, it kind of exposed the right for not being very good with production value. Because this person who came in like within 5 minutes had a better ad than any conservative. And this is an issue of like conservatives need to find more artists and more like former Hollywood people or people in that sphere. Because yeah, Nicole Shanahan blew us out of the water. And I was like, wow, we're not very good at this production value.
we had Kanye, but
oh yeah. I was like one of the 5 Jews defending him. only because he was funny. I don't really care about anything else. I was like, I was laughing. So it's not anti-Semitic if I was laughing. That's my rule.
Funny is hilarious. That's for damn sure.
When he popped out the net with the Netanyahu, I'm like, man, that's good. Even as a comedian, I was like, he's got great instincts with this, and that is something that comedians are jealous of that he did. I was like, that was very clever. And for people, my biggest criticism of my own people is we used to be the funniest, in my humble opinion. Now we're the least funny. We have a stick up our ass. I would like us make Jews funny again, is one of my big things, and make comedy great again. Obviously we're trying to work on that, but Jews used to be like actually fun to hang out with, and we would make jokes. Now it's just anti-Semite.
Adam Sandler's still funny.
Oh, Michael, why did you say that?
Do you remember Saul Rosenberg from the Jerky Boys? Should I bring my shoes and glasses so I can wear them?
Oh yeah. I see him at the secret Jew meetings all the time. Yeah,
I'm going to sue you for punitive damages.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's like you're talking about the cartoon character. Yeah. I heard Rosenberg. I was like, yeah, I'm sure I know him. Yeah.
All right, Eric, you got any final thoughts here?
I'm sure no. At this point, if you really still want to follow me, I'm at Eric Abinante, immune to the system. I'm sure I turned off everybody at this point. And then my wife, she is also live streaming right now in the house because she's cool. I'm in the garage. So she's on Chrissy Mayer's channel right now. So I think there's like a thing of like you go from one stream to a next. It's like,
does your wife have a name?
My wife is named Lila Hart. Thank you. I almost blew that. Oh man,
it's over your left.
Almost the end of the marriage, right there. Yeah. But it was LilaHart.com/documentary. Lila Hart. Love Lila Hart on all the platforms. LilaHart. She's doing great. And she's talking with Chrissy right now if you want to check her out. She's far more likable than me. Trust me.
All right, everybody in the chat. Friend Club Vice President, Northside, Jackie Ritaco. Let's see.
You're awesome, Jackie. I really appreciate everything. That was fun. And everyone else, Friend Club, Northside, KC. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Jackie's awesome. She's a fellow Californian here, and she's a
North America correspondent. I'm sorry, I didn't refer to correspondent. Man,
that's Pete Grabber. He's a homie. All right, so here, before we get out of here, you know how we do it, Eric. We got to read a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. Let's see what we got tonight. I'm not a comedian, so I'll try to make this funny. Okay, I've read that one before.
I like that you do this, by the way. This is a good segment.
It's the best part of the show. All right. I don't know if this is going to be funny. I haven't proofread it, but here it is. Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out tonight, and I will see you again when I see you. I'm terrible about being consistent with these streams, but Chuck Norris joke of the evening. If you ask Chuck Norris what his name is, he always says 2 seconds till. After you ask 2 seconds till what, he roundhouse kicks you in the face. And on that note, stay CaliBased.